It's interesting that when we study and we look back in history and we look at the message of this teacher that we call Jesus, and we look at the message, and the message was what? Love. That's all Jesus taught. Love God above all else. Love thy neighbor as thyself. In other words, understand that there is a supreme power, a supreme presence. It is infinite, it is all-knowing, it is everywhere. And in that infinite nature, it is everything expressing, and everything as it expresses perfectly. Expresses perfectly. So what I know is that we are it. We are the individualization of God. We are the perfection of the divine. But I'm going to take it out of the God context because that word God sometimes rubs people the wrong way. Because people come into agape, a lot of times there's been deep wounds being in other phase. And so I'm going to take the word God out. I'm going to say we are the expression of infinite energy. We are source. We are that which created the universe, individualized into a microcosm, and in that microcosm, we come forth to express. But let's go back to the idea of love. This is the key thing. What is this love thing? And we get so confused because what I have really come to understand is that love is not about control. You hearing that? So let's take love over here. And if we're here in love, can we be in fear? Love and fear are complete opposites, right? So if you're in a state of love, you cannot be in fear. If you are in love, can there be guilt? Cannot be guilt either. Because if you are in love, if you are one with all that is, if you are in wholeness, there cannot be guilt. If you are one and in love, can there be a lack of abundance? No. Because if you are one with all that is, infinite abundance is already yours. If you are in love, do you have a need to judge? No, because love is self-accepting. Love is accepting of all. Love never judges. If you are in love, are you attached? No, you cannot be attached when you're in love because to be attached means there's a lack of. And when you are one with all that exists is always there. So why would you be attached to anything? Because the second you let go of the rose, there's another rose to grasp. There's always going to be more of that which is being sought because it's an infinite expression. It's an infinite way of being. It's infinite intelligence, divine and perfect. So love never, ever controls. Did you hear that? To control means that love is not enough. Let me share this idea. Self-love means to not control yourself. It means to accept yourself. It means to be in non-judgment of yourself. Self-love means to see yourself as whole and perfect as you are. Self-love is also healing. It heals you of everything. So I'm going to tell a story about my wife. Now you're going to say, why are you talking about your wife? Because it's in our wedding vows. And I have her permission. A little over 5 years ago, Jean and I decided that we were going to take a financial plan route that was going to be centered on some different investment vehicles. And one of the key cornerstones of the investment vehicles was going to be a couple special type of life insurance policies. And so in order to get the life insurance policies, we had to take physicals. So a nurse would come to the house, and she would ask us to give her a sample in a bottle, and then she would take our blood work, she would take our weight, take our medical history, and all of those type of things. And then that information is sent to the insurance company home office. The underwriter reviews the information and comes back. At that time we got the information back, the first thing that was said is, we don't have your wife's information yet, but we've got yours, and you're a preferred risk. You have the body of a healthy, virile, 25-year-old male. We're giving you the best price that we can possibly give. 2 weeks later, we got word back that Jean was refused insurance. She was out and out declined. Her blood levels were not within the range. She had high blood pressure at that time, and therefore they determined that she was insurable. Now, we had no idea. We had absolutely no idea, and so I can remember seeing the look on Jean's face and feeling how I felt for my partner. And I said, so how do you want to do this? I said, do you want to apply the principles that we've learned? Do you want to take this and do you want to see if we can do what we say we can do for this community? And she said yes. So we began immediately with prayer, because everything starts with thought. Everything starts with thought. And then I said, so do we want to use the doctors? Do we want to use prescriptions? Or do we want to do this naturally? And her comment was, I want to do this naturally. And so we began a journey together, and it was really Jean's journey. I was just there supporting her in prayer, supporting there in not judging her, accepting her where she was, and no matter what the medical evidence was, seeing her in a whole and perfect body where everything worked. Now remember, I told you this was 5 years ago. So people come to me and say, well, Lee, we've been praying. Sometimes there's a natural process in the demonstration of a prayer. We talk about that because what has to happen? In order for a prayer to happen, a belief has to change. And a belief is something that takes time to process. It takes time to be developed. It takes time to happen. In this case, we didn't know what the time was. We did know this. We did know that we were praying. We did know that when we talked and we acted, we saw her body as whole and perfect. We knew that there was a demonstration in how she felt. She had more energy. We knew over the 5 years she dropped somewhere over 30 pounds. We knew that she felt good. We knew that the spiritual work we were doing was in integrity to the deepest level. And somehow it came that I had a meeting with our financial planner 2 months ago. Or 3 months ago. And she said, everything in your plan is there. You are going to have a phenomenal rest of your life. The only piece we're missing is the insurance piece on Jean. So I came home and I said to Jean, I said, they're saying that this is the one piece. Is it time? And she said, yes. And so 2 weeks ago, Jean had, the day we did the foundations workshop, it was that morning prior to people being at the house. A nurse came over the house and Jean gave them a sample, took the blood, did the weight, the blood pressure, everything. Blood pressure was 118/68. Friday night, email from the beautiful woman who is our financial advisor with a note from the medical place. Jean has qualified for a preferred plan. All of her levels were back in perfect alignment. Perfect healing had taken place. See, that's the power of what we teach. That's the power of love. That's the power of not being in control. That's the power of surrender. Let me really understand this. See, we weren't going to make something happen in her life. We weren't saying become a vegan and the vegan makes you that. We didn't say that. We said that there is an infinite power and presence that is within Jean that will guide and direct her to her perfect way of demonstrating a healthy, virile body that allows her to live the life of her dreams. And what Jean did was she listened to this. She let go of her desire to control. She let go of the desire to have anyone else control her. She became free in how she expressed herself and in the demonstration of loving herself. Do you see that? She loved herself. She finally came to the point of realization that it was the lack of love for herself that caused the appearance of dis-ease. But when she accepted herself as she was, she embraced and lived a life that was self-empowering, that was nurturing, that meant a lot. Her healing took place. Is that not cool? And I think I've got this stuff. I think I know this stuff like by the back of my hand. Wrong. Because when something happens to you, we get stupid. Can you hear that? When it comes to us in the job and something happens, we get stupid. When we fall in love, we get stupid. When we handle money and we want this something else, we get stupid. We forget the truth. So I'm going to give you a little bit of my history. And you've heard part of this before, part of you haven't. But 6 months ago, I started developing back pain. And so I did the traditional thing. I went to my chiropractor. My chiropractor is a tremendous healer. Tremendous belief in my chiropractor. And I went and first I had several massages because, massages are good, right? Everyone loves a massage. The second the massage therapist would touch my back or my glutes right here, shooting pain, I couldn't move. So I went to the chiropractor. Nothing happened. Shooting pain, couldn't move. Went to 2 other chiropractors. Shooting pain, could not move. I'm bewildered because I think I'm perfect. I find another individual that I understood through a friend does a different healing modality. So I went to this individual, and the first thing they did was they adjusted my back. Shooting pain. Came back the next day. Did muscular adjustments on me. Shooting pain. When I'm talking shooting pain, I would be up here on a Sunday giving a talk, and standing was the worst thing. So you're getting a shot of a level 10 pain on a 10 scale going through you, and your butt's clenching, and you're talking. You're numb to this because you want to speak. Well, this person does what they call a lifeline process on me, and it's a process where they they test you with your muscles, applied kinesiology, and they examine where's your emotional blockage. Well, turned out I had 3 areas of emotional blockage. And when she said, these are the things, and this is when it started in your life, I went, oh my God, I get it. And I left that day from there, and I went home and I started doing the spiritual work that we talk about, the affirmations, the forgiveness work and that. And I addressed these specific areas. Within 2 days, 50% of the pain was gone. I went back to the doctor. She muscle tested me. Yes, we've identified it. There's no more emotional things there. They're gone. But you see, now, for 6 months, I've been rebelling. I've been not listening to my emotions. This was probably happening for about the last 3 years. But see, what happened was I was suppressing it. I was burying these emotions. I wasn't dealing with these emotions. So the pain got worse until it got to a point where I had to deal with it because I couldn't stand it anymore. You couldn't sleep. I mean, I would get up from being in bed and have to go downstairs to find a seat to sleep. You notice I never talked about this much, did I? Because one of the things I teach is that when you talk about something, you attract more of what you want, or what you don't want in this case. So what I did is I had to find out, was this emotional thing there? And when I found it, I'm now speaking to you, and I have maybe 0.5% or 2% of pain. It's almost all gone, but there was a natural process for my body to come back into a state of homeostasis. You see, that's the work, and we do the spiritual work, and the body responds. It can be instantaneous, but I guess I have a belief inside that it's not instantaneous. Make sense? My belief is that the body heals naturally. And it's because I buy into science. I have a good left brain. And my left brain says to me, the body replaces all of its cells in a period of a year. So if the body replaces all of its cells in a period of a year, if I'm focused differently, I can change the DNA of those cells. Science has proven that DNA is not forever. The DNA can be shifted by your belief pattern. This is amazing. Cellular biologists have shown this in study after study. Your beliefs change your DNA and your tendency. So Jean's background, her DNA, is her father died of lung cancer at 60-some years of age. Her mother had high blood pressure. Her mother had glucose. Her mother had high triglycerides. Her mother had cholesterol. So Jean said, wait a second, I was buying into a mental paradigm I don't want to experience. And what she did over 5 years was shift the beliefs that that's not her truth. And what I had to do is I had to shift the beliefs of lack in my life in these particular 3 areas, that is not who I am. I am whole. I am perfect. Ooh. It's not that I had to shift the belief. I had to fall in love with Lee. And it's not liking Lee. I had to fall in love with Lee. I had to accept Lee. I had to not judge Lee. I had to step into the idea that I am an expression of God. I had to step into the idea that the power to change my life and to create what I desire is within me. Here's the big one. I had to believe that I was worthy. See, if there's something missing in our lives, what I've come to understand is because we don't believe we're worthy yet. Because if we believe we are worthy, then there's nothing that can get in our way. Nothing gets in the way of that. You see, self-love heals. Self-love means accepting yourself as you are, not judging yourself against anything or anyone else. Self-love means having fun as you. Playing. Life is about playing. Life is not to be serious. Did you ever see the movie Van Wilder? In Van Wilder, there was a saying in it, stop taking yourself so serious, you're going to die, or something like that. We take things so damn serious. Why? Think about this. If you're an emanation of infinite energy, you're infinite energy, which means you are eternal. If you are eternal, there is nothing to fear. You will eternally be evolving. You'll be eternally becoming more. You'll eternally be expressing. So you're not going to get it done. So put these friggin' artificial deadlines behind you and say, wait a second, is that a word? I'm up here. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to say because I'm trying to be a vessel for something bigger than the ego Lee. I want the higher Lee, the infinite intelligence Lee, to speak to you. And apparently that's the sound it makes. The greatest lesson we can give our children is to not ever care what other people think about them. The greatest lesson we can give our children is that they know that they're perfect as they are. That they don't have to become anyone else. They don't have to be judged by anyone. They don't have to judge anyone. That they can be their unique self, and that's okay despite what anyone else says. Now, I'm saying that's what we want to teach our children, but there's a lot of older people in here that probably can get the same lesson. Accept yourself as you are. And if there's things you want to change, say, okay, I turn it over to a higher power in me. I didn't say I turn it over to a higher power. You see, if we're not looking outside of ourselves for something, we're looking inside of ourselves for something. See, this whole idea, when Jesus made this statement, he says, the power of God is within. The word within is translated our inner thoughts and feelings. So the power of God is in our inner thoughts and our feelings associated with those thoughts. And when we tap in, we align the inner thoughts and our inner feelings, our actions reflect. When our actions reflect, we demonstrate because we've created a whole new belief. But most of the time when we're doing this, we don't know what we're trying to change. And that's why we go into silence. We go into silence so that we can listen. And when we listen, infinite wisdom that is us says, okay, we ask the question, what is it holding me back? What is it I need to let go of today? And then in the silence, infinite wisdom comes back and says, this is where we might look. And then we put our work into that. We don't make this a rigid, hard, miserable routine. We make this a joyful, fun way of living. Life is supposed to be fun. I choose joy. Do you choose joy? Boy, there's a lot of weak joy. Do you choose joy? Do you love yourself? Do you accept yourself? Do you judge yourself? Do you? Gotcha. I gotcha, didn't I? It's hard to let go of that J word. Are you willing to let go of judging yourself? Are you willing to start not judging yourself today? Then let's pray. And so in this prayer is about claiming truth. This prayer is about knowing oneness, and there is only one. It is infinite, it is all-knowing, it is everywhere present. It is God. It is infinite intelligence, it is source. It is flowing through each person here, through the mind, through the body, through the soul. Every thought is infinite nature expressing. It is in that idea that there is pure power, infinite power, divine power, the power of love. So I embrace that idea and know that truth for myself and for each person here. And that today, this moment, this very breath is a new beginning. It's a new beginning to accept. It's a new beginning to love. It's a new beginning to live. It is a new beginning to simply be me. It's a new beginning to be authentic. In authenticity, there is love, there is laughter, there is joy, there is peace, and there is abundance. In authenticity, then, there must be gratitude. For in gratitude, all is anchored in divine love. All is made whole. All is now perfect. I bless it. I know it to be so. It is done. And so it is. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.